Hey Jeff, it looked like Darren was back out there today. What kind of timeline is he looking at to get back into game shape after missing so much at camp?
Obviously, you miss that much time. You're into 14 days of not exercising basically. So, it's going to take a little bit. I can't put an exact timeline on it, but certainly need a number of great skates and practices. And, tomorrow would be his first chance to really practice with us, and it won't be a long practice. So that gets hard. But we're going to have to maximize the skates we have and get them back going to full speed. So we won't put them in until, depending on a number of factors, one being most importantly, his readiness to be an impact player, and then two, how the rest of the players are doing.
Thanks.
Next up, Helene St. James from the Detroit Free Press.
Hi, Jeff. Darren hasn't been able to go on the ice then since he was declared unfit. Is that correct?
Yeah, the protocol states that after your quarantine period's up, you have to for sure have 14 days of no rigorous exercise.
Okay. And just how do you envision using the taxi squad, and will that change when the AHL season is scheduled to start, in terms of both you and Steve have said, you want young players playing?
Yeah, I mean, our approach right now is worrying about the next 2 weeks, really. Until that happens, we'll make a decision at that time and let you guys know. Up until that point, we've got two opportunities or two things here with the taxi squad. One, their readiness to step into a game and help us if needed, and two, continue to maximize their development given the guys that are on that squad, all young players that need to continue to develop their games. And so, we're working those two kind of modes in which we'll best utilize that taxi squad.
What can young players get out of 2 weeks or whatever it'll end up being of practicing with NHL players, if that is all that happens in the next coming weeks, that they don't get into a game?
Well, I think the more they're around NHL players and practicing with NHL players, then they can, if they're good at self-evaluating, they can look at and figure out what they need to get better at, and I think that's an important step for the guys, is that, they're not looking at it as, every guy would disagree lots of times with decisions that the coaching staff and the management might make in terms of who's on that squad, but they can't control that. What they can control is self-evaluating and say, what do I need to get better at to make, to try to earn my spot into the lineup. So that's what you get, I think, by being around the NHL guys and by practicing with them, if you do a good job looking in the mirror. And then the other part of it is you get a lot of, this would be a lot of one-on-one attention with our skills development group, who I think do an outstanding job of continue to work and make these guys better.
Lastly, why did Svechnikov not make the cut to be on the taxi squad?
We make our decisions, and I don't really feel like we have to share those reasons, to be honest with you. So we made our decision, and we'll continue to evaluate it as we move forward.
Thanks.
Next question from Ansar Khan with them Live.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. I know with Fabbri, not having played much center during his NHL career, I'm sure he hasn't taken a lot of face-off practice over the last few years. With his struggles in the circle, is it just a matter of he's going to have to work those out and practice, or is there something that you can do, like have another center on that line, like Namestnikov take faceoffs, or is it just something that Fabbri's going to have to work his way through?
Well, it's a decision we'll make, and probably depends on the faceoff and the timing of it. Ultimately he needs to get better at faceoffs, obviously, in order to be a full-time center, and it's hard to get better at if you're not taking them. So I don't want to necessarily have somebody just jumping in every time, that he loses a faceoff. I want to give him a chance to work through and get better at it. And part of getting better at it is real experience against other guys in the league. I would also say, I think our faceoff percentage in general, and certainly his was impacted by this. We lost the line of scrimmage too many times on the faceoff battles. So I think we had 9 contested faceoff battles, and they won 7 of them. We won 2 of them. And so, if we had won 7 of them, our center's face-off percentage looks way better. So it's not just always on the center, but winning the puck clean back. Lots of times it's those contested face-offs that can really change your percentage, and that's on the whole group. So I think as a group, we need to be better in that area. And then the second part of it would just be Fabs continuing to improve. And it's hard to improve unless you get real life, real game action. And so we're going to give them that as much as we can. We'll be cognizant of face-offs, especially on the right side, which is generally would be a left shot's weaker side, and use Glennie maybe a little bit in those D zone face-offs, but we also got to let him work through it.
And also, with the DeKeyser, his first game after, I think, 14 months or so, just how did he look to you? And it's just a matter of going to be a gradual process of getting him back to the minutes that he's accustomed to? Yeah,
definitely gradual process. We weren't going to throw him into 20-some minutes. We had it targeted around the 15, 16, 17-minute mark, and that's, I think, where he fell. Well, I know where he fell. And so we're going to continue to kind of monitor his progress and get him back to full speed slowly, and part of that will be on how he continues to feel, and hopefully he just gets better and better and better. And I thought he did a really good job for not playing for a long time, for having major surgery. I thought he came in and did a really good job. He's smart. He moves the puck fairly well. He's good defensively, and I thought he showed that. So, I'd love to be able to play him back to the 26 minutes or whatever and have that opportunity to do that with him. But that's not the reality of where we're at, and we got to be really smart about kind of easing him into it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Next up, Ted Colfin from the Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff, what are you guys doing in the locker room as precautionary? Because I've been reading and hearing a lot of things from around the league where teams are going to be like separating goalies and the defensemen just to, not have them together and just in case something happens. Are you guys doing anything similar?
Yeah, the setup in the locker room, and obviously we've had some guys that have had COVID,
right.
So that affects how you can put your certain people together. Certainly, that's part of the precautions. Is you don't want one infection to hit maybe your whole decor, your goalie group, or one line or something like that. So we've made those adjustments in our locker room in terms of where people sit. So that's one area you can do. I mean, we've tried to have a whole lot of precautions, making sure our guys are wearing this in every situation except for when they're exercising, including in our locker room and including, in our team meetings, trying to spread them out when they eat, so they're not all bunched together when they eat. I think they've done a pretty good job, our guys have, of taking the message and understanding that we got to do everything we can to minimize the number of games missed. And so we'll continue to preach that and pound on that as we go forward here.
Hey, seriously, Jeff, how was it coaching with the mask on the other night? I mean, was that, an adjustment or what?
It's probably good for everybody but me because they can't hear me anyway, so it's a waste of time to be certainly the refs, I think, like it. We're muzzled. They probably wanted us to be muzzled for a long time. The players can hear you a little bit, but it's different. It's different, but it is like I'd wear a bodysuit. I'd wear whatever needed, head to toe protection if I needed to coach a hockey game right now. So certainly the mask is it's the least of my worries in coaching a hockey game. I'm just glad we're able to be out there.
Did you guys hear a lot more stuff on the ice with nobody in the stands and stuff like that? Like maybe from the other bench even? Yeah, I know it was a big deal. Did you just hear more stuff?
I think maybe the muzzle, helped that from the other bench because we didn't hear that at all. I think there's some noise that kind of pumped in a little bit during that, and so it didn't feel like it was eerily. It didn't feel like a practice. I can tell you that where you practice over an LCA and it's quiet as can be. It didn't feel like that at all. It's obviously different, but it didn't feel like that. I think that our in-game entertainment people did a really good job. And, I thought the energy was good. I thought the energy on the bench was good. I mean, honestly, most of it all felt really close to the same. Certainly you don't get those surges of energy that you'd get from a home crowd. And we'll miss that until it comes back. But in general, I thought our in-game entertainment group did a really good job, and it felt pretty normal.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Next up, Danielle Bruce, Red Wings TV.
Hey, Coach, glad to hear you liked the in-game presentation because that is part of my role. So, hey, any notes you have, just let me know, okay?
I will. Watch what you ask for.
So I'm sorry if you answered this question. I did drop my feed for a little bit earlier in the Zoom, but just about Bobby Ryan, obviously cleared to play at this point. And yeah, he is. Okay. I know yesterday he said it wasn't official, but it's official now. And what do you expect to see out of him, and what do you expect him to bring to this team? Maybe not tonight. I don't want you to say specifically in tonight's game, but throughout the season.
Well, Bobby's been around, he's got lots of experience, and he's got some real high-end ability, especially around the net with his hands. He's got a really good stick. He can make plays. He can finish. I mean, there's a reason why he was such a high pick. There's a reason why he scored as many goals as he has at different times throughout his career. Bobby's not as young as he once was, so it's a different Bobby Ryan than when he first came into the league. But I think some of that can be a real positive. I think it can be a positive from his experience level. I think it can be a positive from where his mindset is. I mean, he's been an excellent influence, I believe, in our locker room. I think he understands the work ethic that it takes. I think he's done a really good job of working, done a really good job of giving little pieces of advice to the rest of the team. And so, ultimately, what can he bring to the table? Number one, I think he can help us offensively, and we need that specifically on the power play, not just being a right shot, but a real talented power play right shot guy. And number two, just the experience that he brings in helping all of us, including certainly the guy, not necessarily young guys, but the guys starting to come into their age at 24, 25, little tidbits of information that can help them become the best pros they can become. And I think Bobby's done a good job of that.
And based on what we saw at training camp, it looks like Bobby Ryan and Vladislav Namestnikov kind of swapped when it comes to what line they're playing with. Was that more of a nod to how Namestnikov has been playing, or what went into that decision?
To be honest with you, I don't think we have one line that's obviously been kind of our top line with the Larkin line, and then we have three lines that I think in different ways can impact the game in a positive fashion. And so I don't know which one of those lines is slated higher than the other one. I think all three of them on a given night can be the second best line on our team, and really the best line on our team. And so we're just trying to get the right fits with the guys in terms of the combination of how that line wants to play, what we want out of that line, the defensive and offensive responsibilities, power play, penalty kill. So there's a lot that goes into it. Hopefully we can find these right fits as quick as we can and build chemistry. The hard part about chemistry is when guys are out, you don't get as much time as you'd like with them together. So we'll see how we go tonight. But again, I just think it's more about building the right line and not necessarily having a line slotted as the second, third, or fourth.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Last question this morning for Trevor Thompson, Sports Detroit.
Blash, before the game on Thursday, you talked about Jordan Staal and what an impact winning player that he is. They're going to be without him tonight. And how do you think that changes things as far as perspective on his absence?
Well, I think very highly of Jordan. As I said the other day, I think he's a really, really good player. He's a winning player, and I think their coaching staff plays him that way. They obviously understand how good a player he is, and a big piece of their team. Now, the one thing I'd say about Carolina, though, is they're one of the teams that's deeper up the middle of the ice. And when you have, I think Vincent Trocheck in the last game started as, probably the third line center, and he's easily can be a top two line center on most teams. And he's a guy that's been really hard for us over the years, especially when he was in Florida. So, I think Trocheck will move into that spot, I'm sure. It gives them two real dynamic top two line centers. They're obviously, Staal's a loss, but for us, we're going to worry about our own team and trying to find ways to create more offense and not give up the couple easy chances we gave up last game. I've got tons of respect for Jordan Staal and think very, very highly of him. And certainly that's a loss, but they've got other really good players stepping in those roles.
I know you've had a couple guys on your team that have dealt with COVID, but now that we're into the regular season and you see it in this series real time, how a guy COVID protocol affects your lineup and your roster. Does it hit home more with the coaching staff or the players when they see this as this unfolds, or is this something you guys had already had figured in? And thanks.
Well, I think the one thing that COVID can any of us can get the COVID virus. That's proven how highly contagious it is. That's probably been the biggest beast of it, is that it's so contagious. So anybody can get it. What we need to do, and what this is a good reminder for us, is to minimize the impact that it has, and ultimately, when somebody does get COVID, you're trying to do everything you can to ensure that just the one player is the player that you end up missing. And certainly you don't want anybody to get it from a health standpoint, but when they do get it, you want to minimize the loss on your team. And so if only one guy ends up being out because of that COVID virus, then I think in the end, the team did a good job of mitigating the risk with others, either making sure they're not losing anybody through contact tracing or through the virus passing through you rapidly. And some of it's out of your control, and that's just the reality of it. So I don't want to make more of it than it is, but I think that's where, we had talked about the precautions, making sure that we do a really good job. And it's just a good reminder for us. And we'll visit that tomorrow. It's not really a game day thing, but we'll visit that tomorrow.
Thanks, Blash. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you all again tonight.